So really quickly, before I actually get into the meat of the lecture for this week, which will be in a separate video, so fair warning, this is not the only lecture video for this week. There will be another much longer one. I wanted to take a chance to step back and sort of get you all um, in the same frame of mind that I am when I'm thinking of this class and what we're doing, because I realize we're sort of going through things and we haven't really taken a chance to step back and say, what purpose does this serve? So I want to sort of bridge everything together and sort of build those connections for you all so you can see what purpose all of this serves and what will it connect to in the future in this class. So we've already done our research methods section where we develop strong methods for collecting data. We also spent a lot of time on job analysis, and job analysis is the foundation of most everything we do on the industrial side of industrial organizational psychology. Without knowing what is required for a job, which we learn through job analysis, we can't really do anything else in industrial organizational psychology. You can't judge, for example, whether something is task performance or an OCB or CWB if you have no idea what the job is in the first place or what the tasks are in the first place. We also still need to use good methods for collecting that data, so that's why the research methods section came first, because it gave us an understanding of the principles of sound data collection, which then we can carry over into job analysis. We also talked about criterion measurement and the criterion problem. And that has built upon what we've done because it has allowed us to translate the information we would have collected from a job analysis into more practical and usable means. So now we can start to think about what tasks are we going to measure? Which ones do we want to avoid measuring? What KSAOs are we going to measure? Which ones would we want to avoid measuring? We need to have done job analysis in order to do this process. We need to understand our constructs well, and that comes from research methods. We need to understand what it is we're measuring. What is our criterion? What isn't? Without construct validity in terms of criterion measurement, we will have bad performance systems. Now, what are we doing in this module? Like I said, there's going to be a separate video with me actually recording the slides for the lecture itself. But in this module, we're going to talk about performance management, namely, how can we measure performance in an organization, practically speaking, and what biases impact the assessments that go on in a performance management system. So how might supervisors, how might peers be different from each other in terms of how they rate one another? And so the context in which performance appraisal takes place also figures into this, because the situations that we work in influence what we pay attention to, what we rate and what we don't rate, and how we rate it. So that's what we're doing in this module. And like I said, everything that we do builds off of the foundation we set with research methods and job analysis. So what you would be measuring in your performance management system is what you've identified in your job analysis and what you've identified when we talked about criterion measurement and criterion contamination and criterion deficiency. And it's without identifying first what is required of a job and then what do you want to measure, you can't then you can't measure it. You can't measure something unless you know what you are measuring. And if you don't go through this process, if you're sitting here thinking to yourself, I don't need to go through this process, not only is it bad form and will lead you to lose a lot of money, but without going through this process, as we will talk about, I think in this module, it opens you up to a lot of legal challenges to the unbiased nature of your selection system. And without proving that something is related to job performance, without proving that the interviews that you do predict job performance, or that a test that you use predicts job performance, you could be sued and you could lose a lot of money that way. So all of this has both value in terms of helping you pick the best employees, but it also has value in terms of making sure you don't get sued. So On the industrial side overall, this will help you predict performance, but it will also help you understand the organizational dynamics, or rather, all of this information that you collect will help you understand the organizational dynamics of actually behaving on the workplace, which we already talked about task performance, OCBs, and CWBs, but those will figure in the future as we start to talk about, well, what causes people to behave that way? We can try to measure things before people come into our organizations and try to determine how are they going to perform, but a lot happens in your day-to-day that influences your choice to do your job, to engage in citizenship behaviors, to steal, to engage in inappropriate verbal behaviors. So we're laying an appropriate or not an appropriate, an appropriate and a necessary foundation here for the rest of this semester. And we're going to talk, the purpose of today, and by today I mean the lecture that will be posted elsewhere, is that we will identify and measure performance. We will talk about how to measure performance in an accurate way. So that's it. I just wanted to use this time to give you all an understanding of where I'm coming from, what connections we can make, and potentially where we are going in this semester.